didn't see you there. Just giving the bike a quick wash after we put about 100 miles on it. She got dirty. While the bike is drying, let's talk about my experience. Almost a full month here with the RERODE R1. And remember, your boy's experience is zero on dirt bikes, zero on electrical bikes. The only bike I have is my Ingwe M20, which lacks in comparison to that bike in a lot of ways: speed, power, suspension, weight, a lot of issues, but they're completely different bikes. That's just a fun cruiser to deliver UPS stuff and mail and ride around the block with the wife. That goes 31-ish miles per hour. But let's talk about the RERODE R1. Let's talk about that before I get into a tangent. First of all, the battery, you're probably curious, is a Greenway. I took it out for just to actually check what model it is. It is a Greenway because the MX-5s have been catching on fire. Check that out. Right. Where is it? Greenway technology. So it's one of the safe batteries. You could leave it in if you're washing the bike. You just want to wet this top area very much. Notice I kind of went kind of easy. I'm just going to wipe everything off with a damp rag up top. I just don't want to get the connectors wet. But you can wet the motor. They do a crazy good job on it. Just want to get it quick glance over. So overall, haven't done anything. I've been meaning to order new pegs, but I just got to make sure I order the correct ones. And I believe they're the Telaria MX4 foot pegs. So I'm going to upgrade that. But the things that I've done to the bike is right here. You'll see some screws up there that holds the seat in place and hold this little duckbill in place. What happened was it shook itself off, and to remove this screw, there's a couple of clips underneath there, and rather than mess with plastic clips, I just cut a hole so I can easily access the screws. And one thing you'll notice is that this is pretty close to flush with these bolts. So what I'm thinking, there was probably some rattling in there, which caused the bolts to come off on their own. Now I can easily tighten them when they do come loose again in the future, because I'm pretty sure that's going to happen again. And also it gave me an excuse to paint this duckbill, or whatever you call this thing, and I've already scratched it because your boy took a spill, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You'll see a little bit of damage from that spill. Other than that, haven't really done much. Went ahead, put this sick Batman logo on there, 3D printed that. If you're interested in this, actually, it's going to be available in my Etsy, and I think I'm going to make a Deadpool one as well. That should be up, hopefully, when this video airs. But yeah, I freaking think it looks sick. I don't like the number plates. Don't like it. You'll still see a couple more dings here and there. But other than that, everything is pretty much stock. One thing I did end up making was a mount for my drone, and I'll insert drone footage here. I was able to get that drone footage because I have this mount I designed, which will also be on Etsy once I finalize it. I have a good mock-up for it already, and that's how the drone mount looks. It's held together with a zip tie and double-sided sticky tape, but it's pretty sturdy. It's great. I've gone up to 30 miles an hour with it on, no issues. This thing won't come off. This won't shake off. It's 3D printed with PETG, so it can withstand the sun. It's less brittle, more flexible. Really, really good mount. And this will also be on Etsy for those who want it. And it's semi-universal. It's going to come with some zip ties and some sticky tape. You're gonna have to make it work however you way you want. It should fit anything with a flat surface. I know it fits the Ingwe bikes inside, so it should fit most other bikes. When you're riding, you can check out your drone. Just don't take a spill because you're probably gonna break your controller. Do I regret buying this bike, and do I feel FOMO for not getting the MX5, which was just released like 2 weeks after I purchased this bike, which has a bigger battery, more power, bigger brakes. And those are the key things with the MX5 that I've found that are pretty important, if you ask me. And the answer is, for the price I paid for this bike, hell no. And even at MSRP, that is still a pretty good deal. I believe the MSRP for the RERODE R1 is 4,400. I know there's a Chinese website that you can get it for about 3,800, which is still another great deal. But 4,250, the price I paid for that thing, I'm very, very happy with it. I love the fact that it already has a 72-volt battery. It already has a 35 amp hour battery. Great range. I ride about 10 miles at most, 10, maybe 15 miles, and I lose only about 30% of battery. So I'm keeping it between that 50 to like just below 90% battery, because if you know anything about lithium ion batteries, they don't like a full charge. And they don't like to be depleted. So if you can keep it in that middle ground, you're going to keep that battery, that Greenway battery, lasting a lot longer. So yeah, I do not regret it whatsoever. And one of the biggest things is, if you're a person like me who always tries to eke out as much as possible, and you're trying to stay away from modifying a bike, and I wouldn't even recommend buying an MX3 or something like that, or any other like any other bike, even on the used market, because upgrades for this bike to a 72 volt and a larger battery are pretty much the whole bike. You're looking at about $3,000 just to upgrade those two components, not including a controller. So it's literally the whole bike. So there's almost, if in my opinion, unless you find a screaming deal on a moto somewhere, just buy the 72 volt, buy one with a decent bad amp average, and the RERODE R1 has all of those. It is a great bike, great for the price, great for the money. I cannot stress that enough. I would honestly argue, if you can get it at MSRP, this is probably the best bang for your buck bike, better than the E-Ride Pro S and the SS, because all of them have 72 volts. Apparently the suspension's better on here. I don't have any reference point, but I can tell you I love the suspension on here. It's nice, soft, plush, it's adjustable, it's great. I don't feel like I need to upgrade it whatsoever. And the only things I'm going to upgrade are the things I told you: pegs, rims, and tires, and all those are essentially cosmetic, if you ask me, except for the tires. Other than that, this is a really complete bike, and you really don't need to do any real upgrades, just the cosmetic stuff. Probably get bigger brakes for it, but if you're not upgrading the motor, those brakes stop pretty well already. They could stop better, and brakes could always stop better, but it's pretty good. I think the quick caveat with this bike, and I'm not sure if it's all with all e-motos, but there is a bit of a belt or chain rattle that is part of the bike, part and parcel. I thought it was an issue with my bike. I messaged the Talaria boys. They told me, no, that's just normal. That's just how these bikes, the gear to belt ratio is. And actually, I watched a couple videos, and all the bikes for the RERODE R1 were making that same noise. And it doesn't sound super concerning. It just happens when the chain, it has to do with the chain making a clink. You'll hear it in some of the videos out there, but apparently it's not an issue. But if it is, you should message me and tell me about it, so that way I can make sure I don't do any damage to the bike in the future. But other than that, it's running fine. I'm pretty sure it's nothing. I'm pretty sure I'm just worrying about nothing, or not even worried about it, because they told me not to worry about it. So long story short, guys, I love this bike. I do not regret it, even though the MX5 just came out. I think this is plenty of bike for me. 55 miles is plenty fast. You don't need to be going any faster than that, if you ask me. On a bike like this that's supposed to be running the dirt, it's scary enough going 30 miles in the dirt, especially it's loose, hence why the bike was so dirty. But other than that, yeah, I really think this is super underrated bike for the price. Everyone gets so caught up in the hype. Oh, the newest MX-5, the Talaria, this, the Suron, that. And the thing is, like, this thing kind of sneaks in right in the middle. It gives you everything that you could even possibly want as an e-moto rider. It gets a 72-volt battery with 35 amp hour with 8,000 peak kilowatts on the motor. This thing, you know, there's no rattle, no battery rattle, no noises other than the natural noises of the bike. This thing is literally probably the best e-moto anyone can buy out there, and especially for the price. Even at MSRP at 4,400, the fact that it has 72 volts and 35 amp hours, this is a good solid bike. But if you do want more power, if you need more power, I definitely think, you know, go with the MX-5. But for me, I think this is great. This is everything I ever wanted. I wanted a 72 volt. I wanted at least a 30 amp hour battery. I got 35 because I was going to go with an E-Ride Pro S, which is like this, but this is more power, extra 2,000 watts peak, and an extra 5 amp hours on the battery for literally the same money. I'm gonna go with this one. So, long-winded explanation, but I give this bike my A-OK. Spend your money, unless you want to spend more money and get an MX-5. Hopefully you don't get the battery that catches on fire, but I'm pretty sure Luna Cycle has dealt with that issue. And other than that, guys, thanks for watching. I freaking love this thing, and I can't wait to make more videos about it. Peace.